One Topic, where we stick to one topic. My name is Autumn Fisher.
My name is Greg Russ.
Oh, actually, let me run for something. Stay there.
That's the new noise I'm going to make when I sip beverages instead of the refreshing. I'll take a sip and go. And then someone will say, "What's wrong? That's the my lemonade."
I'm back.
And I'll say, "No, it's delicious."
What?
That's the noise I make when it's delicious. Nothing. I was talking to the audience, not you.
Oh, okay. Lemonade?
Yeah, that was the tail end of it. You'll have to listen to the episode to
Oh, never.
hear what I said.
I guess I'll never know.
Yeah, you never go back and listen, huh?
I have, but I don't typically.
Interesting.
Why is it interesting?
No desire to improve.
Do you go back and listen?
All the time. I take notes.
Sure. You hate it. You would never do that. At least I would enjoy my voice.
I've listened on occasion, usually after I've been drinking, and I can separate the criticism. It's easier for me to compartmentalize it. So
sure.
I'll listen, and I'm able to listen in a way that it's not, that's me speaking, and you're a fucking idiot. You sound dumb. I hate your voice, and you say dumb things.
So sad.
It's not sad. It's fine.
It is.
Look, listening back has helped a bit. I realized I had a bad habit of every time you would speak and you were done, before I started speaking again, I would say, yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And
You're just being supportive.
It's acknowledging that I was listening.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily needed. I still do it sometimes, I realize, but hopefully not as much.
Yeah, I realized when that's almost a that's a like a disease. You know, once it starts, it just keeps filtering in your brain, and you keep saying it. It's awful.
I've never fallen into the trap. Like, I'll say it sometimes, like right there. I'll say it sometimes.
Well, is a very important word. You know, you use it to compare something. You use it to fill time sometimes, I think. Because if you're going to say something and you're like, you know, it's a way to bridge between thoughts, maybe.
People don't like to. I mean, that's an actual.
That's a real one.
Yeah. They don't like to leave gaps, because you always have the interceptor, the conversation interceptor, who will jump in the moment you take a breath, and they do not give a shit if you're done speaking. If they're listening, they know you haven't finished your point and you're just taking a pause to collect your thoughts. They don't fucking care. They jump on it.
That's anxiety, I think.
It's the thing. In general, people do want to hold their place, but why is that? Because you have other people who are waiting in the wings, like, take a breath, come on, breathe, stumble, take a moment, and I'll jump in, and this conversation will be mine.
I feel like I have to do that on the radio show, or else I will not speak.
And it does happen on the radio show. If you're speaking and you pause for a second, it's like, good luck, you've lost it.
I try not to do that when other people are speaking. It's when Eric is talking forever and ever. And if you don't jump in at the slightest chance that you get, he's going to move on. And then you're going to miss the idea of bringing something else up. Because he will not shut up.
Let me finish.
Oh, no. Let me finish. He gets so upset sometimes when it's like, dude, you finished. Shut up already.
It does stink, but sometimes you have a good line or something to contribute.
Yeah,
but you have to let it go, because it needs to be said in that moment. And if that moment passes, even if it's only 5-10 seconds, it's just not going to work the same way.
Oh, it's gone. That's why when he comes back to me, I'm like, ugh, I don't know. This is what I was going to say. It's not important now.
It's past.
Yeah, it's past. But then it puts me in this weird spot where it's like, oh, okay, now Autumn, you can have a chance to speak. I'm like, oh, I don't want to speak now because now it's done.
It's one of the difficult things to do on a show with that dynamic and that many people.
Yeah.
Nobody else knew that your thought, your brilliant idea, your clever, witty one-liner existed.
Nope. And I didn't even know if it was going to work. I just suspected it might, and it'd be cool to have just a little space to try. I'm not complaining.
Your name is not on the marquee.
There's plenty of opportunity for me to speak. How about this? No, that's not true. There are opportunities for me to speak. And I do speak. However, there are times when the Red Bull is flowing through his veins and he just is pressing the gas on everything and nobody can say anything. And then he looks at us like, "Oh, I guess I'm not, you're not entertained." It's
a lot. You deal with a lot. That's why they pay you the big bucks.
I keep saying the show's going to give me cancer because I hold so much in. Not just personal dynamics between coworkers and just the navigating of that, but also the stuff that he will talk about when Eric has a premise that he's working from that I feel is a faulty premise, and there's no correcting that.
Premise.
Huh?
Ooh, a faulty premise. Next, you're going to bring up the straw man argument.
Oh, isn't that that's the same thing? No,
just go ahead.
Okay. Why is straw man? Is that like
just
fun political way of saying something?
No, I'm not. Don't overthink it. Just go.
Okay. No, I forgot.
See, I interrupted with my one-liner. That's why. Now you know why he doesn't want you to interrupt.
I guess I just shouldn't be on the show at all. Maybe that would help.
It's no way to treat a co-host.
No interruptions.
I like that that's become a thing, like some kind of absurd thing that you've claimed to be a co-host.
Yeah.
Why? What are you?
I don't know. That's what I said. I was like, I don't know, co-host. I don't think that means it's me and Eric. It means I co-host with Tim and Jared.
Yeah, what would you put on a resume?
I don't know. I put co-host.
As I think you should. What would the...
Oh, I think that Tim says on-air talent or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds pretentious.
Or on-air personality, but even, I just feel...
Personality would work. Calling yourself talent.
Yeah, I didn't like that either. So I guess co implies two. Because when you co-host something, it's usually just two people and you're sharing the hosting responsibilities.
But it's not a limited number with co. It could be
I didn't think so
3, 4, 5. I think it just means like mutual or something.
Well, that's how I took it. Anyway.
I don't know what I put. I think I put correspondent.
Ooh.
Well, that fits as a person who joins. What is the actual definition of correspondent?
And your whole thing is about being from not your whole thing. The sort of character that has molded around you has become like New York, right? So
a person who writes letters to a person or a newspaper, especially on a regular basis.
Yeah, but that's an old definition.
Yeah, but that fits. If you modify it, it fits. I reach out on a regular basis, but I'm not there all the time. When's the show back, by the way?
The 6th.
I'll be in Maine with that shitty Wi-Fi.
Don't join.
Nah, I want the money. I can't build the hours. It's different. You can't just
like these. Attention.
Yeah, they're paying attention. If hours, I think when the show is back, you're right. I probably could bill the hours, and they'd get approved. Like, oh yeah, the show's back. But these past 2 weeks where the show's not there, I can't bill.
Oh no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying on Monday, on the 6th, just bill for it.
There was at one point, I do think, when somebody else, Shani B, was approving my time cards, I just treated it like this is just like a flat fee I get every week. So even if the show's not on, I bill. But I stopped that knowing that, there's more layoffs and the Skycopter's done.
Oh, I know.
We talked about that already.
I know.
Well, you're like, oh yeah.
Well, I forgot about, man, I've been thinking about it lately and how sad, like WSB is like meeting your favorite celebrity, but when they're way past their prime. Because I've loved WSB for so long and it was so cool to work there. And I just feel like I got at the very end of it being the WSB I knew.
And it's still
now
the
it's
number
something
one
else.
station in the market. It just goes to show that there's
Yeah.
no positive path forward for radio. When you're, I mean, Cox in general,
Uh-huh.
Apollo, whatever they are, like they have 4 of the
Oh,
top
do you mean
5.
CMG?
Yeah, whatever it is.
Okay.
They have 4 of the top 5 radio stations in the market. And you would think, wow, you're dominating. And it's like, no, we have no money. It's like, oh, if you don't have money, what do the other shitty stations have?
Yeah.
It's because all the advertising dollars go to influencers now.
I guess. But not, I guess, yeah, for people that, okay, but a local market in Atlanta, Georgia, like,
Well, you'll get
A
local
small-
advertisers, but they
Well,
don't
that's
have
what
as
I
much
mean.
money as the national brands.
yeah. So CarMax or something is going to influencers?
I mean, the big, I don't know if CarMax is, but a lot of the national, because
Yeah.
there's so many people who have very specific audiences, like the makeup people, all the makeup brands like L'Oreal, Maybelline go, and people who cook. They get all those brands. Circulon. is that the big?
Wait, what is that?
It's like a pot company, I think.
Yeah, it's not Circulon. It is that though, maybe. I don't know. I know what you're talking about.
It is Circulon.
Yeah. Maybe I made it with a K sound.
Circulon.
Circulon. I am Circulon.
And and who's listening to radio? Old people. And I was just talking to Christina about this.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get past 54, advertisers don't want you anymore, which makes 0 sense because you probably have more money than you've ever had.
Oh, especially now, these boomers.
When you're 54.
They're the only ones with money.
And you still buy things. But as far as, demos are broken down, it's like 25, 54. After that, we don't give a shit.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't know that by the advertising for like a vest that helps with your COPD.
Yeah, that's filler advertising.
I mean, they're making money from that.
And I don't know if it's direct
My
money.
catheter.
Anything that's got a code attached to it.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we got to fill this inventory and hopefully people call and use this code and we get a kickback.
Oh, and I'm sorry to shit on an ad, but the people that say like use the code something Bible, but it seems like the company is not a religious affiliated company in any way. Only by the code that they give out is seemingly the religious part of it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't know what specific commercial you're talking about.
There's like 2 guys and they'll be talking and like the one guy's like blah blah blah, use code Bible.
Sometimes I think we hear different. Well, you're listening to the station live feed, and I am too when I join. But if you stream, which you don't do because you're on the show, but
stream is different stuff.
There's local New York ads that pop up.
Oh yeah, because it's like talking to you.
Yeah, it knows where I am.
I get Spanish stuff because I speak Spanish into my phone a lot. Because I'm still learning Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's neat when that happens.
Do people who speak Spanish, what's the Spanish word for like?
Gustar is to like.
Do you think they say that quite often? Gusta.
See?
Gusta, today I went to the store. Gusta.
Oh! I wonder what the Spanish like is.
Do you think they have a high rising terminal in Spanish?
Like that?
Yeah, just like the upswing,
Right.
Valley Girl type thing.
Me gusta eso. Me encanta mi computadora.
Or even statements. Yeah, everything sounds like a question.
¿Sí? Quiero hablar contigo. Porque...
It's the way people speak now, though. It's just become a very common trait I've noticed. A lot of people end on the upswing, and I don't know why.
You don't know why?
Well, when you're asking a question, it's fine, I guess. Why do people do that? It's people are afraid to make declarative statements. It's like,
okay. So I think situationally, yes.
And
people
to show that you're not intimidating or that you're safe.
Yes. But there are just regional ways of talking. Like, have you noticed I'm still watching 90 Day Fiance. There's some people on there that are from California. And they have that baby voice, but they also do that when they talk.
So it's double, because sexy baby voice is a totally separate thing.
Right. But it's like they talk like this. Asan wants to have a baby, and I'm 40 years old, and so I'm not sure if I can have a baby.
There's always some bullshit attached to it, like controversy behind sexy baby voice, where people speak like that because it's speaking to contemporary culture's fetish for adult sexuality wrapped up in adolescent packages. It's like, shut the fuck up.
Do you know the real reason why people do that?
Shut up. What is the real reason?
Because, well, it could be like we're talking about a regional sort of choice, right? That you end up talking like that, but it's a lot of people who were like molested or sexually assaulted at young ages.
That's a totally different thing.
Well, that's why women have that voice a lot of times.
I know you got that from Loveline.
Yeah. That's just case after case after case, call after call after call after call.
And I'm not denying that exists, but I think sexy baby talk's a totally different thing.
Oh, well, sexy. Oh, like choose, like someone has a regular speaking voice and then like, yeah. Because they're like getting it
people
on.
People who
to
alter
sexy.
their voice.
Okay, that's different.
And that's what I'm speaking to.
Okay.
That there are people who purposefully do that. And I'm sure it was just a thing that then, like anything else, spreads via social media. I'm like, ooh, that's a good way to talk. I'll add in the upswing. I'll add in the vocal fry.
The vocal fry.
Bring it all together. The complete package. The
I'm
complete
42
package of
years old.
insufferable speaking.
Maybe like
I'm 8 years old, and I have COPD, and I use the special vest. And if you use our code, you can totally get it for like 20% off.
The vocal fry, and I've brought this up before, I know.
My catheter needs changing.
It's very prevalent in well-to-do white urban liberal communities because it comes out of NPR, I think. NPR.
Oh, you think that's where it comes from?
I think a big part of it is NPR presenters, for whatever reason, the way they speak, like the vocal fry has become a very...
It's time to speak very softly and also have vocal fry.
They add in the vocal fry and they don't do the upswing, but they still play coy. Where when they're reporting things that are facts, they still don't make the declaration. Like there's this faux, I am smarter than you, and I realize I'm smarter with you than you. But along with that comes a responsibility to not rub it in your face that I'm smarter than you. So I'm going to present things to you in a manner where I'm a bit unsure at the end, even though I'm making and sometimes it's not even fact. Sometimes it is opinion. But the way they're presenting it, they're very firm in that belief. But at the end, there's a bit of coyness just to disarm you. That way.
Do you have an example?
No, I don't have any.
Sorry, I really didn't mean
examples.
to do the baby voice and the vocal fry there. My throat really just got dry. Do you have an example?
I haven't listened in so long. I used to listen to NPR. I like talk radio, and there are a few talk radio choices. And, they're still in New York. In general, NPR, obviously, talking about having no money, doesn't have any. But here in New York, apparently they bring in millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. But they still cry poverty too and lay people off. And we don't need to get into it too deep because it's the same thing that comes up. But if you track the money, if you trace it, it goes into the pockets of a few at the top. And then they say, you're working in public radio and you're raking in millions. Meanwhile, you're laying off people who make $45,000 a year. The fact you're asking them to do a very difficult producing job for $45,000 a year is insulting. But then you say you don't even have the money to pay them. So fuck you, fuck off.
Yeah.
But we're this great institution that's very important. And on some level, I do agree. I want there to be, well, it's not unbiased anymore, NPR. If it ever was, is a totally different question. Probably
it just
not.
seemed a bit more measured and seemed like it was giving you more than just one side of a story that you were getting from television.
But there's no
news.
audience for that, I guess. You find your
Well, I
audience.
think,
you
you
make,
know what? It could be radio. It could be the problem that it's radio.
Well, you find your audience. They found their audience. And that's why they rake in millions here. WNYC makes so much money off of listener donations because it's New York and there's a bunch of rich white people who.
But not just that, but New York is also a very sort of legacy city, right? And so they, there are buildings that have been there for a billion years. And they're not constantly tearing things down just to build something there that has a more modern look to it. Not to say that that hasn't happened. I'm just saying there's like buildings in New York that are there and people appreciate them. And so and statues and sculptures and parks and things. So something like NPR, that is something on radio that maybe a lot of people aren't really consuming, but people want to keep. So they keep donating. They want to keep it. Whereas other states who don't give a fuck, you know what I mean? Like tear down the Walmart so that you can build a super Walmart across the street. Nobody gives a fuck in these like states. And so they're like, what? Radio's just done and stupid. Bye.
They listen though. I hear what you're saying, but they definitely listen.
Maybe the podcast version. They're not, no one's in the car.
I mean, that's a good point. And because when you're on the subway, you lose service in between stations. You can't stream it. But people do listen.
I'm sure they do. But like I said, when? How?
Sitting at home. They probably play it during the day.
Who has a radio?
You listen, you stream it.
Right. But then how are those counted? We talked about that
It doesn't
with
matter.
our
It's
show.
not ratings. The NPR is...
Right.
WNYC is getting donations. That's how they're making their money. It's not the ratings.
Okay.
So if someone's streaming and they listen and they like it and they say, I want this to stay around. Here's money to go into the pocket of the higher up. Take it. Run with it. Flaunt it.
As a person, do you sit in a very high level position of a company and say, I make $600,000 a year, and that's low, right? For these big wigs, I feel. And then that you're laying people off, like you said, who are making like 45K. It's not like you can go in there and say, you may not be in the type of upper management position to be able to give your, to give part of your money to some other employees to like even out the pay. But how, I guess in those instances, like I'm thinking about myself. Let's say, sorry, my throat. Let's say, I know I've got some phlegm going. Let's say that is me, right? I'm making more than I ever thought that I would ever make. And I'm in this upper management position. And there's people that I know they're going to do layoffs because of whatever stupid reason, I may not be in a position to like be able to give anybody my money, so how do you that would be like someone above you and then someone above you and then someone above you.
But what's your point?
Well, like, how does that work? Like, how would I feel like I, at that point, would be in this like principled crossroads where it's like, should I stay here and keep making this money, even though I know that it feels against the principle that I've talked about for so many years? Because I have no way of going to like.
I still don't follow. Are you the person making a lot of money?
Yes.
Then why did you, because you said, and then on and above me and above me. And
yeah, because I'm still making a lot of money, but then I might not be in a position where I'm not like the owner of a company, right? But I'm still making a ton of money. I don't know how you would then like distribute that money to the people that are getting underpaid.
Your money.
Even though, yeah.
I mean, if you were in a position to make the decision, or if you're a CEO of a company, or if you're any executive.
But that's what I mean. People below them may have these principles, but they can't do anything about it because they have no like way of getting money to other employees.
I feel as though you could go. I even said, trying to convert people on my team who have been temp employees for a fucking
Right.
year and a half, where they get all the benefits, but there's always an end date. It's like, yeah, in 6 months we'll revisit. I was like, these people have been around for years. Clearly the jobs are needed. Just convert them.
Right.
And at this point, they're not even really gaining anymore because as a temp employee, you get insurance and you get 401k matching and all that
Oh yeah.
shit.
So what's the point of keeping them temp?
I heard there's some kind of game that's played where temp employee salaries go onto a different line in the budget where it
Oh.
doesn't show a cost of business, where it gets lumped into things like bonuses for salespeople. Like, yeah, we paid that out, but that's not part of the business. Like we can, if you're showing you're shopping around the company or you want to go public or whatever it is, you want to
Okay.
show that it doesn't run hot. Like there's not
Yeah.
too
Yeah.
much money being spent. So they can just play their stupid games on paper. But aside from that, like last year, not that there were big raises anyway, I said, I'd rather convert these people, not get a raise this year if we can do that. And it didn't matter. Now, I didn't offer him my salary, but I also am not making shitloads of money. I like to think if I were in a position where I was making $1 million a year and I could save 2 jobs by giving up $150,000 of it,
Oh yeah.
I would. But I think you do something like that, the people around you also in higher positions, they look at you and say, how dare you? Now you've put me in a spot. Now I'll be it. So they stick together.
What does that mean? They'd get rid of you?
No, they'd just be angry at you.
Oh,
Like, you
who
did
cares?
that. Now I'm not doing that. Now I'm the bad person. Now you've set a bad precedent. Now we're all going
Right.
to be
And they'll
expected
figure out how to
do
get rid
that.
of you.
But I feel like it could be on the down low. It's like, you don't need to publicize this. But that's the thing. People would want some kind of trade-off. Well, I want everyone to know I gave up salary then. If
Well,
I'm going
okay,
to do this, everyone should know. And I should be celebrated. And there should be a ticker tape parade down the Canyon of Heroes.
The best of intentions, right? Where you're not trying to be some martyr, you're not trying to be a hero, you're not trying to be anything, you're just trying to stick to your guns, then I think, I guess you'd have to you'd have to try and talk to whoever's in charge of the budget, right, for employees.
Well, yeah, they set the budget for the year.
Yeah.
The fiscal budget. Some companies I've worked at, their fiscal year starts in the middle of the year. But
Right.
now, the company I work for, it just matches the calendar year. So, yeah, they set the budget and they try to work things into it. But
Mhm.
you could catch wind of something. Like, we got to let people go because there's not enough money. It's like, here, just take some of my ungodly salary.
Yeah.
We don't need to tell anyone.
No. And if you're
No.
making $1 million a year, I mean, are you really gonna? Well, okay, so you're making $1 million after taxes. Are you making like $750?
Less than that, I bet.
Let's just all right.
You do set your life up.
You
a lot
do.
of people set their
But how
lives
about
up.
don't do that? How about fucking don't do that? Don't make your nut so huge that you have to now sacrifice your principles.
Well, what are your principles? Clearly,
That I don't feel like that if I'm making this much money, that someone below me that is making so much less is fired, even because they're saying the company can't afford it. Well, it's like, take some of mine, keep them, unless they suck. Obviously.
people. I look. Everything does grow. I
think
don't.
I'm talking communism or something.
That's
is
not what
what
you're
I'm saying.
talking. It's not.
No?
You're not talking communism. No.
Fascism.
No. You're just talking people looking out for each other
Yes.
and not causing others to have. And I'm stumbling on this because I don't think anyone's purposely holding anyone back, and that's not what I'm trying to imply.
No.
Some people maybe on some level, but in general,
Of course, everyone is always doing something.
it's
but
not a direct choice.
generally,
Like, keep that
yeah.
person down so I can make more money, but that's the indirect cause of it. But as these things feel the future in general, people don't feel confident about it.
No.
And there's this idea that everything could go away or everything could change, and you need to, if you're in a position to actually prep for that. Shut the fuck up, siren. I don't know if you can hear it.
Oh yeah, I can hear.
It's just all this traffic. They just congestion pricing goes into effect on Sunday.
Oh man, people are gonna riot.
$9 to drive into Manhattan. Now, you know what? Never mind. I don't want to get off on that.
Okay.
I don't want to get off on that. And see, now I've lost my train of thought with the other
You
thing.
interrupted yourself.
Well, the ambulance interrupted me. Just sitting in traffic and the cars have nowhere to go. They can't even get out of the way. It is pretty ridiculous, but you got Jano Lieber, the fucking asshole who runs the MTA, who's got a fucking
Don't
chip
get
on his
into
shoulder.
Don't get into it.
What up? We had a really cool guy who ran the MTA, Andy Byford, I think his name was. He was British and he did a good job with Transport for London. And long story short, he came over here and people knew who he was and they were excited because he was enthusiastic.
You talked about this, I
transit.
think.
Yeah, and Cuomo hated it. Cuomo's fucking ego. It's like, what? No, and he forced the guy out. He made that guy's life so miserable that he quit because Cuomo couldn't stand that somebody else was getting some sort of credit. Like when he opened the fucking new bridge and drove FDR's car across it. It's like, why? And he overnight changed the name of the Tappan Zee Bridge. Technically, he built a new bridge, so it wasn't the same bridge, but it could have kept the same name, and he named it after his dad. People thought, what the fuck? What are you doing? Naming a bridge after your dad, not telling anyone you're going to do it when it has a name that everyone enjoys.
What name did he change it to?
The Mario Cuomo Bridge.
Ew, that's so selfish sounding. No, like what's it called when you're like full of yourself?
I don't know.
It'd be weird for me to build a bridge and call it the Autumn Fisher Bridge.
Well, he named it after his dad.
Yeah, but still. Name it something cool.
Well, it used to be called the Tappan Zee Bridge, which was, I guess, if I remember, it was like it's native people were tapping, but it was like some Dutch thing. It was what the fuck did it mean? Tappan Zee. The area of the Hudson known as the Tappan Zee was named for the Native American Tappan people who once lived in the area, and the Dutch word for sea.
Oh,
it was a natural. It was a natural widening point of the river.
Well, cool. Now it's just some stupid name. Everything's dumb like that. Like the stadiums are being called, like T-Mobile Wireless Stadium.
Well, there's money involved in that.
I know that's dumb and it's ugly.
Maybe they should do that to the bridges. You could drive over the.
I'm sure they will at some point.
Man, what the fuck is going on? Stop dying, people.
The Southwest Bridge. It actually goes northeast.
Yeah, see, that's a good
I'm
example.
I'm confused by this bridge. I keep trying to go someplace. The Southwest Bridge? Yeah, but it goes northwest.
You could have the Oracle Bridge. I mean, the Brooklyn Bridge would really generate huge amounts of money for naming rights. That's the one people would want. Nobody will want the 59th Street Bridge, which is now... All these bridges get different names. Like the Triborough Bridge is the RFK Bridge. Nobody calls it that.
They call it the Triborough Bridge?
Yeah, the Triborough Bridge because it connects 3 boroughs. It connects Manhattan, Queens, and the Bronx. So Triborough. There you go. RFK Bridge.
RFK Bridge.
I'm taking the RFK. No, I'm taking the Triborough. Suck it. It was like the Battery Tunnel. That's a cool name. Now it's like the Hugh Carey Tunnel. I don't know who the fuck Hugh Carey is.
Who cares about that?
He was a U.S. rep. I don't give a shit. I should probably know what he did. There's a reason that he's beloved, I'm sure.
Yeah. It's a tunnel, you said?
What's that?
Sorry, you said it's a tunnel? What is it? The Hugh Carey
Yeah, there's
what?
a tunnel that connects South Manhattan to Brooklyn. It goes from the Battery Park in Manhattan. That's why it was called the Battery Tunnel. And it would go to Brooklyn, but now it's Hugh Carey. He's best remembered for his successful handling of New York City's economic crisis in the mid-'70s. Great.
Okay.
Who cares? Whatever.
That's true. That's a good thing.
It's not deserving of a tunnel.
I mean, the 80s sucked in New York still, so maybe it takes time. I don't know.
Well, New York was on the verge of bankruptcy, and no city had gone bankrupt at that point, I think, since Detroit has gone bankrupt. And there's like a famous newspaper headline when New York City was trying to get out of bankruptcy, or again, they never filed for bankruptcy, but it was close and it was bad. And they asked for federal support. And there was newspaper headlining because I guess Ford was president. And it said, Ford to city, drop dead. Even though that's not what he said. Like, he never said that.
That would piss me off as Gerald Ford. I'd be like, hey, I didn't say that.
Well, I think he said no to helping. He said,
Yeah,
nope.
but like I didn't say drop dead. I was like, I'm so sorry, but like I'm sure that there was some eloquent way of explaining why. She's like, drop dead.
I mean, you may as well have said it. Like, nah, drop dead.
How did New York get out of that?
I guess Carey helped. I don't know
Hugh Carey in his tunnel
he's got a
Give him
tunnel
a
named
tunnel.
after him.
to say thanks. You know what? I would much rather have a bridge than a tunnel, I think.
And
Tunnels are scary.
And they're gross. They have to have exhaust. Because
Yeah.
so much gross airs down there. Yeah, I don't know. I can't look it up now. I'm trying to figure out what he did, but it's not the time to look this up.
Hugh Carey.
And it's not the time to look it up, like the specifics of what he did.
Harry Carey.
Helped save the city, turned it from Fear City to New York City.
Fear City.
Have we ever talked about that?
Uh-uh.
Yeah, I think we did. There were pamphlets that people would pass
Fear
around.
City?
Yeah. So in the middle of all that, when the
Uh-huh.
city's going bankrupt and things are at their worst in the mid 70s, people created pamphlets that said, "Welcome to Fear City." And it has like a skull in a hood
Awesome.
on the, just look up New York
Yeah, I'm looking it up.
Fear City pamphlet.
Fear City,
And it
New
would-
York.
And it gave people who were visiting the city instructions on how to stay safe.
Dang.
Tourist instructions. Let's see if I can find a list of these things. Yeah, welcome to Fear City, a survival guide for visitors to the city of New York. The incidence of crime and violence in New York City is shockingly high, and it's getting worse every day. During the 4-month period ended April 30th, 1975, robberies were up 21%, aggravated assault was up 15%, larceny was up 22%, burglary was up 19%.
What's larceny? I forgot.
I knew you were going to ask that. I knew it.
How did you know? Because you also forgot what it meant.
Well, I wouldn't. I was like, I don't know how to answer that.
Yeah.
Because it's the unlawful taking of another person's property with the intent to permanently deprive them of it. So I don't know what.
Stealing?
Yeah, it's theft.
Theft? I'm only borrowing this. I'll bring it back. So I'm not a larcenist.
So anyway, there's this whole setup, and it goes into how the budgets are being slashed, and there's going to be less firefighters and police. And says, nevertheless, some New Yorkers do manage to survive, blah, blah, blah. And then it says, good luck. And it's got the skull's face.
Good luck.
And then here are the rules. Stay off the street after 6 p.m.
Dang, that's early.
Even in Midtown Manhattan, muggings and occasional murders are on the increase during the early evening hours. Do not be misled by the late sunsets during the summer season. If you walk in Midtown at about 7:30 p.m., you will observe that the streets are nearly deserted. Do not
Well, that's because
walk.
nobody lives there. Do not walk.
Do not walk. Take a taxi after 6 p.m. Avoid public transportation. Which, look, the crimes are on the train. In general, the percentages still say that you're not very likely to be attacked on the train, and you're still more likely to get seriously injured driving a car.
Sure.
But like, a woman was set on fucking fire.
What was that?
All the details haven't come out. Like, they gave a name. People can't tell if she was homeless or not. It doesn't matter if she was. It's stranger if she wasn't homeless. But it was a guy who came into the country, who was deported, who came back into the country.
Okay.
No commentary on that. I'm not trying to say.
I know.
People will take that and
Close our borders.
But there still is a thing. It's like, all right, he was deported and he was back. It's like,
yeah, how did he
okay.
get back?
It just snuck back in.
Yeah.
And he just seemingly randomly decided to set this woman on fire. Now, I don't know why she burned the way she did. I don't think he used a propellant
Right.
or a fuel. So there's this idea that if she is homeless, like the clothes are dirtier and will burn more easily with grease and just
Yeah.
excretions on it. It doesn't. The point is, like, she just fucking burned. And in the video, which I haven't watched, I guess like a cop just walks by, doesn't do anything about it.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, I don't know what you would do, but it's like very nonchalant, like whatever. There's no urgency apparently. And there was a video of a guy who got pushed in front of a train. He was standing near the turnstile, so the cameras that were there caught this. He's waiting. He's on his phone close to the tracks. This guy walks past him, then turns around, walks back, shoves him on the tracks as the train's coming in. Like he goes on the tracks and the train flies in. Somehow he survived this. But there were other slashings. So,
damn.
The crime is up. I think a lot of it's the dumb bail reform laws. Again, white people, they're guilty conscious. I'm rich and racism's real. And if all the things I say I believe in are true, I'm racist just by default because I have this and I'm not willing to give it up. So then they lose
all sense of what actually may be happening in situations.
They back themselves into a fucking corner. You cry that everyone's racist systematically. It's systemically, it's built in and you can't avoid it. So therefore you are a racist. It's like, no, you're not. You know if you're racist or not. And if you really believe that, give up your riches. Go hand them to people who are poor. Nobody wants to do that. So they push things like bail reform laws that people commit crimes because they're in a position where they have to commit crimes, not because they're bad people. I think both exist. I think people who commit crimes because they're desperate, that happens. But there are also some people who are just fucking bad people. And I don't care if it's a matter of how they grew up. You can change that, so hopefully it doesn't happen to more people in the future. But I don't think you're changing people who are already like that. And the bail reform laws are, poor people don't have money, so they can't pay bail. So if they get arrested, they can't get out of jail while they await their trial. And there's truth to that. But again, everything is taken and they run it to the extreme. And so what you have is people who are violent, who are arrested and immediately put back on the street. And this is what the people push for because they're guilty. They have a guilty conscience about being white and rich. It's dumb.
It's real dumb.
I guess there are some carve-outs where the judge can say, no, this person should stay in jail. But it doesn't seem to happen that often because there's so many fucking stories of the same person causing so many problems. And to be fair with a lot of the homeless people, there are mental issues. And I know it's a difficult thing to force people into institutions. They don't even exist, so you can't even do that. But there was a time when the institutions existed and people would be forced to go there. I think that's still the best option. I'm not saying that the abuse that probably happened at those places is good or right, but having a place where these people can go and get help, because a lot of them aren't willing to get help on their own. I don't know if they're capable of thinking about getting help.
Yeah, they may not be capable of it. And there are things to do if that's the case, but so many of them are capable of so many other functioning things that you can't take them against their will, which in a way is good, right? Like you don't want to be taken against your will, but there have to be some situations where it's like, this person is obviously incapable of taking care of themselves and are now taking up the space and I don't know. I was going to say like bothering the people that they can't take care of themselves and it's obvious. So they need a place where they can be helped.
And then no solutions can come out of it because everything has to be either or, Republican or Democrat. That's what it boils down to. The Daniel Penny thing, the guy who put the homeless guy in a chokehold and killed him. The real thing there, because you've got the left who describes the homeless guy, who I'd been on the train with.
Really?
Yeah, I knew that. Like, I didn't know that guy.
Oh,
but he would ride the same train lines. And at some point, look, Jordan Neely was his name. He had an awful childhood where his mom's boyfriend murdered her, then shoved her in a suitcase.
Oh,
and he was already prone to mental issues. I forget exactly what it was, if it was schizophrenic or bipolar.
sure.
And at some point in his life, he was a Michael Jackson impersonator, and he would work the trains and try to make money. And that was who he was at one point. But things deteriorated, and he became a guy who was menacing and who would scream at people and who would threaten people. And that was the reality of it. And then Daniel Penny gets on the train. Well, he's already on the train. Then this guy, Jordan Neely, gets on the train. He starts threatening people. Jordan Neely puts him in a chokehold. Daniel Penny puts him in a chokehold. Jordan Neely ends up dying. The reality of it is the guy was menacing. He was threatening. And then Penny went too far with it. It's like, why are you going to hold a guy in a chokehold for so fucking long? Protecting other people, looking out for other people. Sure, no one's going to blame you for that. But it becomes this thing where the left presents Neely as this beloved Michael Jackson impersonator. And that's the pictures they show from 15 years ago, when the truth was, at the current time, he was menacing. Yeah. And then the right is like, Daniel Penny's a hero. And it's like, okay,
protecting
he stepped
people
in.
And he's getting persecuted for, yeah.
It's like, okay, he stepped in and that was nice, but he also fucking held that guy in a chokehold when he clearly wasn't moving anymore for too long. Why can't we just admit
there's got to be a time
facts?
when you can feel that there's dead weight now happening, right? Like there's a difference between someone struggling because you're still holding them to like becoming, dead. Like, the difference. I would know, like, oh, this has changed.
But then in the left, like, well, he set out to kill him. He wanted to kill him. I don't buy that for a fucking second.
Who was the guy that put him in the chokehold? Has he had any other run-ins with violence with people?
No, but he was a Marine. So people are like, hey, he's a Marine and he should have had better understanding.
He's got PTSD.
Well, he should have had a better understanding of the chokehold, and his training is actually the detriment to what he did, because he shouldn't have held. And then people make it a race thing. He's white and he wanted to kill him because he's black. I don't buy that. Even if he's opportunistic and the opportunity present, I don't buy that he wanted to kill him.
Yeah. People can be racist without wanting to like literally kill someone.
I also don't think he's racist.
I'm just saying though, even if he was a little bit, like, okay.
But why does everything fucking go to that shit? I
don't know. So I have a friend who works at a hotel, and she's Korean, and her ex-husband is black. They have 2 kids. And this lady came in with her big dog, right? And the lady wasn't paying extra for the dog, and it was over the weight limit of what they allow. It's like over 50 pounds. And so my friend had to call up to the lady's room and say, hey, I noticed that you have your dog. We have to charge $50 a night. Like, she was excusing the fact that it was oversized. But she said, we're going to have to charge you $50 a night, for your dog. And she was like, oh, it's my son's dog. He's just staying for the night. And she was like, oh, okay. Well, for tonight, we still have to add $50 to your bill. She was like, blah, blah, blah. So she hangs up. The lady calls her again and says, hey, I need you to print something for me. And so she emails this document that she needs to print. My friend doesn't look at what the document is. She just prints it out. And the lady comes down. She hands her the paper, and the lady says, read it. She goes, I'm not going to read it. I don't need to read your thing. She's like, no, read it. I want you to read it. And so it was this thing stating from a doctor stating that service animals are, exempt from, and then she was like, okay, well, first of all, you said it was your son's dog, and now it's your service animal. And then also, was it the this type of service animal? This isn't like a seeing eye dog. This is an emotional support animal, and that's not covered under ADA, and so we can still charge you. And she was like, you're saying that like you don't want, I'm black, she's a black lady. She was like, you don't want to see black people in here. You don't want to see black people successful and like able to stay at this kind of hotel. And she was like, that's funny because my kids are half black. And she was like, you would say something like that. But she was like, and I'm Korean. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Why? What? And this all started because you brought in your dog and then lied a bunch of times about this dog. Pay the $50 and then call and complain to like the customer service, whatever, for the hotel and get your money back. Don't. It was strange for her to. And so eventually they asked her to leave, right? And then the police came, and my friend told the police everything that happened, and the lady just denied everything. She was like, none of that happened. I don't know what she's talking about.
The level of entitlement blows my
So
mind.
strange.
And
so
the willingness of people to flat out lie about things. There's no
Yes.
shame anymore. For the most part, people aren't being called out, or when they are called out, there aren't really any consequences, which is why
Yeah.
people run with this. I think
Yeah, because if she was just straight up white and then didn't have any like African American, sort of connection, then I mean, for all intents and purposes, that lady could feel justified in saying that it's because that person's white and I'm black.
Well, if a white person brought a dog in, they'd be just as entitled. I've seen people do that shit on the plane.
Oh, sure. Oh, no, I'm not saying it's because that lady's black. I'm saying my friend being Korean and having black kids, like the lady that's calling her racist, all of that's all negated because that doesn't make sense when you're trying to say this. But if my friend were just straight up white, then that lady who is calling you racist is going to be like, yeah, see, you have nothing to back you up. Like you can't prove, for example, like me, I have nothing in my pocket that shows you that I'm not racist.
No, and we had an environment that was created where if you were called racist or you did something like that,
Right.
you would be labeled racist and people would run with it and say, yes, you are. And
then if you say sorry for it, it's like, oh, apology, that means you're guilty.
I wouldn't apologize for anything.
No, if you're like, oh, I'm
because-
sorry.
No, I wouldn't. I was like, I'm not. You can believe what you want, but I'm not. There's nothing to
Oh,
do
well,
with
there's
your
that.
something to do with your race. It has you acting like an entitled piece of shit. That's what it
Yeah.
has to do with it. Everything thinking the rules don't apply to you. That's why.
So weird.
And actually, I'm not even acting to you in any certain way. I'm being very
Yeah.
polite, and I'm just telling you what the rules are. And the rules apply to everyone. And that's actually equality. Isn't that what you'd like? Isn't that what
Hey,
everyone?
that's good.
Isn't that what everyone wants at the end of the day? Is equality. So the same rules apply to everyone. And because you have a fake service animal, you've already given me
That's
several
your
excuses.
son's.
You're obviously just fucking coming up with anything you can come up with. Oh, it's my son's dog. Oh, it's a service animal. Keep grasping at straws. You're being
Yeah.
charged $50. Sorry. You can call me racist all you want, but I think it's calmed down a bit. But
It has.
people
yeah.
could take a picture of you, name the hotel you work at, post it online, and people would run with it. And like they'd dox you and they'd find you and they'd go for your job. And that's why people got scared. And I
Yeah.
think that after this past election has calmed down. It was easy with Trump in the first election to say, well, he didn't get the popular vote. Most of the country doesn't want this. And this next time around, it's pretty clear. It's
Mhm.
most of the country apparently wanted this. And sorry, I don't know if he ended up winning the popular vote. I kept hearing things like, well, as the more votes come in, it's getting closer. But it doesn't
Oh, it's
matter.
so weird too. Like I keep seeing TikToks where it's like, he's not going to be eligible to take office. It's like, give it up, guys.
Well, because
Just relax.
because it generates fucking views.
Yeah.
As I'm
The
reading
14th Amendment.
as I'm reading comments online these days, I feel like most of them aren't even real.
Yeah.
I feel like it's bots.
I don't trust anything. Well, I do sometimes because like if I like it, then I tend to trust it a little bit more. But I don't take that as gospel. Do you know what I mean?
When the name of the game is engagement,
Yeah.
people I see things like posted. It's like, I love New York City. And it's obviously an AI generated picture of the city where the layout's wrong and Central Park's in the South Manhattan. And people fucking fall for it. Like, this this isn't a real picture. It's like, just don't engage with it. They know
Yeah.
it's not really New York. And even
The
if they
people
did
that do
was,
think it is real, and then the people that are trying to be like, I know that that's fake. It's like both of you stop. Don't like you said, don't engage.
that's what everything's turned into. So the people talking about Trump and whatever this is, and he can't take office. It's 'cause they don't really believe it. I think the first term there were people who thought that somehow there could be a thing that could come
Yeah.
in and stop this
Yeah.
from happening. I have never made my disdain of him a secret, but I just don't like him as a person.
Right.
It's one of those people who fucking really is not likable, doesn't give a shit about you. It's all things that have been said before, and always gets his way. Like sometimes you want to see people be put in their place, people who who just say fuck you to everything and actually get away with it. It's kind of annoying. It's like, come on,
Yeah.
just once can you have some repercussions? But I think that despite left or right has permeated all of society. It really has become a thing. Whatever. I'm going to say what I'm going to say, and there's nothing really going to come of it. So good luck. I'm stealing. I'm breaking the rules. I don't give a shit about the laws. What are you going to do about it? Good luck.
Well, is if I could just play devil's advocate, do you feel that way about stealing from Trader Joe's?
I might say if I get caught stealing,
Yeah.
I won't think that I'm in the right.
Oh,
that's
a good point. Yeah.
I won't say, how dare you
Yeah.
come after me?
You'd be like,
I
got
was owed this
busted.
chicken. Yeah,
But would you pretend? Would you pretend like, oh, I didn't even realize I had it?
I mean, there's the idea with self-checkout that you could, but everyone does that. Everyone
Yeah.
does that. With Trader Joe's, it was just clearly walking out. And if I got caught, I probably would have kept going and not stopped for anyone. Said, hey. I
Oh,
wouldn't
like you
have
just
stopped.
keep walking?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Look, but if I did get stopped, I'd say, all right, you got me. What are the repercussions for this? If they ask me the reasons
you're under
why,
arrest.
I don't think they're going to arrest you for fucking $12 worth of chicken. But
We've had you on tape and you've stolen 16 chickens. That's 16 times 21, which is the legal thing for a felony. And now you're under arrest.
I tell them why I did it.
And then it's New York correspondent Gregory Russ arrested.
I mean, I do think about that, how embarrassing it would be to actually.
Oh, I know. Like someone we knew in radio who got
It's just
in
like,
trouble for
why?
stealing cat
Why
food
are
or
you-
something.
Why are you doing that? Again, I would tell them why I stole the chicken, only because it would feel good. I wouldn't think it justified anything, and it also wouldn't change anything. So it'd be pointless to tell them. But the reason I stole the chicken is because I was going into Trader Joe's back when the mask mandate was still in effect, and I was trying to buy things, and my mask slipped down below my nose as I had my arms full of items. I should have had a basket, but I didn't. And a woman immediately came up and reprimanded me. Sir, your mask's below your nose. You need to lift it up now. I'm rearranging things in my arms. I need to find a place to put things down. I didn't put it up fast enough for her. So she yelled at me again.
Was she a customer or was she an employee?
No, she worked there. It was like, it seemed
okay.
like her job was to go around and police that. And there's some people who love doing that.
It probably was not her job. She just assumed that role.
You're right.
Yeah.
I don't think it was an official job. But again, context didn't fucking matter. Any moron could have looked at me and saw, well, look, he's got an armful of things. If you really, why don't you get me a basket? If you really say,
you see someone struggling and you say, hey, it looks like you got your hands full. Can I hand you a basket? And then if they still don't put their mask up, you're like, sir, also, would you mind putting your mask up? And then
you
you're
could even say that their masks below. To be in the store, these are our rules. Whether or not you agree with the rules, to go in the store,
just be
those are their
helpful.
rules. Fine, but they could come up and say, "Hey, your mask's slipping. I see you have your hands full. Here's a basket. We'll put the stuff in there. Can you put your mask back up?" Okay, but because she, again, zero context, or if she even noticed, I don't even know if she was just so excited to jump on the fucking opportunity.
Or she's had so many people in the store that have their masks down below their nose.
Who cares?
She's like, yeah, you.
It's not my problem.
I know.
I hate that. You decided to take it on, so you deal with people coming after you. You need to give everyone the same starting point.
Yes.
I can understand your fucking frustration, but I would have.
And that's part of working with people, right? Is that you do have to approach people individually and not as, I'm sick of you guys. You're all the same.
So I put all the items down except for the chicken.
Kept that fucking chicken.
I just walked out the front door. Didn't even try to hide it. Like at that point, I was just pissed. I just walked out. But I wanted the chicken. I needed the chicken for something. I forget what.
I needed the chicken for something. I needed that chicken.
I think things are. I don't know. The end of
things
the day,
seem to. I think we got oversaturated. Like the idea of having to be so hyper aware of not just our own thoughts, but other people's actions, like we had to interpret them as to whether they were like racist or sexist or misogynistic or patriarchal, that's exhausting. And I'm sure we're all exhausted. And now, like, things just, keep happening. Presidents that you don't want to be presidents, whether on either side that you're on, they're just, politicians are being the way that they are. This like little, this little bird on our shoulder talking about the bird flu. Now it's like, I don't.
I haven't heard anything about bird flu. I don't care.
It's like, it's people. I feel like it could be used as like the new COVID, right? To start like shutting things down again, or like to at least start reining people back from, I don't know what the fuck. I don't know. It just seems like, no, we are not getting hyped about this. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing this again. Shut up about your bird flu. Wash your hands. And then if they even try to come out and say like the ways to prevent getting the fucking bird flu are to, socially distance. It's like, that's not going to work. You've already tried that. It was a lie. So why? There's no trust. There's no more trust. What a wild time we live in. I'm feeling very optimistic despite this conversation. I feel very optimistic about 2025.
There's no trust because people abuse power. So even if things
know,
are settling down now, it's
seems-
just going to swing the other way, and other people are just going to abuse their power. COVID was an example of that. At the beginning of COVID, I didn't want to wear a mask because I wasn't fucking scared of it myself. That's a personal choice. Then they said, well, you can spread it to other people who may be vulnerable. And I said, okay,
Right.
well, it's, I don't want to be responsible for other people getting sick. So if I can help out, sure, I'll wear the mask. Then I wore the mask. And then things started coming to light, but nobody adjusted their position because it became a fucking political thing. And it was an either or. You're on this side, you're on that side.
6 feet apart.
Zero, made up number when it really should have been 60 feet apart because they knew people weren't going to stand 60 feet apart. So they just said 6 because something was better than nothing. It was all bullshit. Later on, if you adjust as you go along and you learn more things, at first people didn't know. So I think I was, and a lot of people are willing.
We did not know.
But then other things come to light, but it's too fucking rooted in now ideology instead of for what it really is, that nobody is adjusting things as they move forward because it means something more than it actually means. If you're in a position of power during COVID and you realize, all right, well, the mask's not really doing much, so you can stop wearing the mask. If you said that, then it means you're giving in to the other side. To the
Right.
It's like, what the fuck? It's all fucked up because everyone's stupid.
Yeah.
And it's more about sticking it to the other person than actually figuring things out, getting things done. And I don't know if that's ever going to change.
Yeah, that's the thing. All of that feels so overwhelming and impossible to affect in any way. So it just is like, well, okay, I'll just keep doing my own thing. And I'm just going to work on me, make sure I'm cool. And everything else, I guess, can fall apart around me because I don't feel like I have any influence on that. The only influence I have is to put out into the world, not like manifestation type bullshit. I'm talking about like being a good person to people, spreading a little like friendliness, responding to people in a friendly way and like not putting the energy out there like the Ghostbusters goo, like the only thing we can do is just try and be cool with each other, and like raise decent humans, which is what I'm trying to do.
You can hope.
Yeah.
You can try.
That's all you can do.
But if you raise decent humans and most of the people aren't decent humans, then
they'll find their decent humans because decent humans exist.
Yeah, but they're at a disadvantage.
Well, we'll figure it out.
It does feel nice though that we've moved. Like I feel comfortable these days. If I did something and someone said you're racist, I'd say, "Fuck off." No, I'm not. And that would be the end of it.
Yeah.
Instead of, "Oh, please, no, I'm not. I'm not. What can I do to show you?" And then you give some demeaning public apology. What the fuck? Just because you said I was racist doesn't mean I'm racist.
Yeah, who made you the authority on who's racist?
Well, I know. I've studied this, and there are ways that you're not even aware of. You're just ignorant to your
Yeah.
racism.
And that's true. I mean, maybe you have some sort of insight on something like that. Okay. Okay. If I am at a point where maybe I want to explore that, then I'll come to you. But otherwise, bye.
I don't want to explore it. If there was a point in time where you present these things, I'd be interested in hearing what you had to say. I'd look deeper into it.
It depends on the person. Like if it's just a stranger, fuck off. But if it's
but the moment when the point is
if
to
it's a
label
friend,
you,
you're like, what?
no, when the point is to label you and to destroy you, it's like I'm not ever going to fucking listen to you because
No.
your motivations aren't even what you say they are. You just enjoy this fucking power. You're tripping on it. You're pathetic.
Tripping.
Yeah, ego tripping at the gates of hell.
Oh, people are ego tripping at the gates of hell. A spoonful weighs a ton.
So, bring back Fear City. Get all these losers out.
Maybe you should make a little flyer. Just put it places.
At this
It'd be
point,
fun.
it's just people know. It's like that's an art project. It's like Catlanta.
Oh,
Fuck off. Fucking no. There was a time and that was interesting. I mean, really bring back Fear City. I don't want people being burned to death, but if we can drive some of these morons out of the city.
the people that want it to be like, and just like that.
Sure. I mean, and just
Where it's actually like a MetaQuest version of New York City.
yeah, Carrie Bradshaw's townhome on fucking the private park where you need a
Oh my
key
God,
to get
that
in.
AI fucking apartment. That was so bad. God, that show was the worst.
When is it coming back?
Woo, I don't know. You really should listen to the Sexy Unique podcast recaps. They're so funny. They call Miranda, they call her Chablis Hobbs because she's drinking so much in the show. And they would only call Shay Diaz instead of just their name. Like they had to say their name the whole way. It was
the
fun.
cashier from You've Got Mail.
Yeah.
And Zabar's.
What did she say? Happy Thanksgiving back.
Anyway, all right. We never did the fucking intro again. So now I gotta...
Welcome to One Topic, where we stick to one topic. My name is Autumn Fisher.
My name is Greg Russ. It's not difficult to edit this and put it at the top of the show, but it's just annoying.
We just never do it. It's more fun. We're conversating.
Wrap it up.
Thanks for listening, everybody. I hope you had a wonderful new year and a happy schmoliday, Christmas, whatever. Love you. Bye.